CNN anchor Aaron Burnett recently interviewed the incoming president of the Southern Baptist Convention, Pastor Ed Litton. Throughout the interview, Burnett falsely accused the pastor and the convention of supporting and advocating critical race theory, even though the pastor rejected that as false several times. But that didn't stop the anchor from pushing the narrative and repeating the claim. Let's listen.
I understand that, but the criticism nonetheless comes to you from another pastor. Our Lord isn't woke, angry that you're recognizing as a group critical race theory. What do you say to that? How do you explain?
Yeah, I can explain very simply. We've never condoned critical race theories.
So you're saying you do not recognize the Southern Baptist Convention is adopting the theory that recognizes systemic racism as part of American society. You're saying that that's not true?
No, I didn't say that's true. I didn't say there isn't systemic racism. That's obvious. I'm saying that we do not prescribe to critical race theory. And that's what was part of what you just said. We do not prescribe to it. That's a false narrative.
It's now to discuss pastor at Bethlehem Baptist Church in Mansfield, Texas, Pastor Mike Evans. Pastor, what is the position of the church?
Well, number one, it's the game they play so well. They know exactly how to slander the right, to make them into something they're not. It works perfectly. Listen, you hear this all the time. Let's just take the vote issue. Evangelicals could be in trouble if they're with the IRS, if they're supporting candidates or even praying for them. Well, hello, every African-American church does. They even bust them to the polls. The IRS isn't bothering them. It's double standard.
Yeah, Pastor, it seemed that anchor was really trying to confuse him, even though he said, that they don't, support it. But, going back to Bob's question, what is the church's stance on critical race theory?
Listen, number one, it's the game they play. I'm Jewish. I've worked with the state of Israel. The Palestinians have tried to play that card all the time on me. Hannah Ashwari, I debated her in Madrid. She said, don't confuse me with the facts. My mind is made up. Don't distort my reality. So everybody creates their own narrative. And then they try to throw it at you like a food fight and make it stick. It's just not true. Evangelicals are not racist. Evangelicals are colored blind. If they believe their Bible, they can't possibly have that position. But I'm used to it because they're doing it all the time to Jews. Anti-Zionism is the new anti-Semitism.
Pastor, I agree with you. I think there's a lot about the media that, especially if you're in the South and if you're religiously based, they often try to portray folks in the South and who consider themselves religious as somehow racist. And that goes very deep, I think, in the media, especially on the coasts. The pastor there was talking about how critical race theory had been studied because they don't want to go forward out of ignorance. But I did want to just ask you one more time, because I want to make sure where the church stands, where the convention stands, is what is the position on critical race theory?
Well, I don't think that any evangelical has a position to support white supremacy or critical race theory. Evangelicals are Bible-based people. For God so loved the world. That means all of it, that he gave his only begotten son. So, it's a game you play. Listen, the most discriminated group I know presently are evangelicals. You're a bigot. You're a racist. Every name in the world is thrown at you if you're a Bible believer, that you're ignorant. And we're used to it, but it's the price we're going to have to pay in these days of political correctness.
Yeah, Pastor, I'd like to get your take on a story. You actually mentioned it in the beginning of our interview. It was a story that was released. An IRS official denied tax-exempt status to a Texas group that encourages church members to pray for state and national leaders because it benefits the private interests of the Republican Party. And the headline reads, IRS denies tax exemption to Texas religious group because prayer Bible reading boosts the Republican Party. What do you think about that?
Well, Joe Biden wouldn't have been elected if the IRS supported that with him. there's no possibility he got elected because the African Americans, which I have no problem with that.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.